So you are essentially talking about funding.
Well, not funding, because if you talk about funding, then you'll be looking at the issues of corruption. What has happened to the funds we have allotted?
No. I mean about everyone,
Yes.
everyone, depending on who you are listening to,
Yes.
they would allude to that. But
Yes.
absence or lack of equipment would probably mean that maybe we don't have enough funding deployed.
So of course, we still don't. There's the issue of funding. But look at this analogy. We released $2 billion sometime last year, $2 billion for purchase of equipment. If the machinery you want to hire has equipment, they have the tactics, they have the know-how, and they want to charge you, say, $200 million to get the job done, I would think that it is better to spend $200 million or $300 million, whatever the amount is, compared to purchasing equipment, at least in the near term. Let them move in, clear the place, and then you can then push in your force, because it's an issue of equipment. When you see how Boko Haram attacks, they attack in a drove. You may have like 20 mounted machine guns shooting at a military. That's why you see we took out the forward operating bases. It was no longer tenable and sustainable for the military to have those forward operating bases scattered far apart. When you have that strategy, it's a good strategy to have, but you then need the logistics and the support, close air support, to be able to prosecute that level of strategy. But so we went FOBs. We didn't have the second line of defense and forward support for the troops. And then Boko Haram was picking up the troops. What we now have is the military hold up in hope, hold up in super camps, going out on periodic fighting patrols, hoping to catch the insurgents, on occasion. But the initiative is still with the insurgents. And so the situation on ground is now that the communities that are far apart are left to themselves. Because sometimes it would take the military 6 hours to move from where they are to the nearest position of the incident that is happening. And Boko Haram has local intelligence. So how do you counter that narrative?
Okay.
They are in a particular area, like the Aripo area, for example, which is close to us here. I don't know if we remember when we had the issues with the guys who were doing bunkering and illegal operations. The military had to go in. It took the Air Force to soften the ground before the military could, because those guys had well-defended positions just here in Lagos. So we are looking at the same dynamics. You can't approach Sambisa Forest because the whole place is well mined up.
Okay.
Your MRAPs, which you procure, the MRAPs, they failed. They are not enough. You don't have helicopter guns. We don't have enough standoff munitions. So we can talk all day about the challenges and you know what. So if that option of equipment is not anywhere close by, I mean the governor is making sense.
Okay.